Hi, I'm Kevin, and my Summer of Code project is Architecture Cross-Coding in Debian. My mentor is Steve McIntyre, and my co-mentor is Phil Hands. For now, I'll define cross-coding as when you change the architecture of your Debian installation. The most common use case for cross-grades is probably converting old 32-bit i386 installations to the AMD 64 architecture. This lets you take better advantage of the 64-bit hardware you might have upgraded to over the years, and to be able to run applications with only 64-bit binaries. Historically, cross-grading has been mostly a process done by hand with great care. If you do it incorrectly, it can often result in a broken installation and basically having to start fresh or restore from backups. Crossgrader is the culmination of my work for GSOC. It's a Debian package that provides tools that automate the whole cross-coding process, with detailed instructions as well. The tool has been tested to work on Stretch and Buster. Its main goal is to make converting your system from 32-bit to 64-bit easy, but it also works well with cross-coding between architectures that actually aren't supported on the same CPUs, such as going from ARM64 to AMD64. The cross-grader works in 3 separate stages. Before cross-grading, you add a target architecture to DPKG and then install a kernel that can run it. The first stage consists of allowing the system to boot in the new architecture. All the packages that install binaries into the init ramfs are first cross-graded, and then high-priority packages and anything required for the cross-grader to run, like Python. Then, you reboot into the new architecture's kernel and continue the cross-grading process. If QEMU user is installed, it will be cross-graded first, so any binaries in the original architecture can still run. Then, all packages not in the target architecture are cross-graded. Finally, the cross-grader removes all the packages from the original architecture so that the architecture can be removed from DPKG. After this step, everything should be running in the new architecture. Now, I'll show you a demo of it in action. So the first step is installing the cross-grader. I'll be showing an i386 to AMD64 cross-grade on a fresh install of Debian Buster. First, we add the AMD64 architecture to DPKG and then update the package cache. So after that, we can install the Linux kernel for AMD64. The crossgrade is going to go much more smoothly if we use an AMD64 kernel, because we'll be able to run both AMD64 and i386 binaries. So since I'm running on an AMD64 machine, I can just reboot into the new architecture's kernel. So I've switched to a text mode console at this point because cross-grading in a desktop environment can be dangerous. And as you can see, we're running in the new kernel and we're in Debian Buster. I'll run the first stage of the cross-grader and it outputs a bunch of the packages that will be cross-graded. So once I hit yes, it will download all the packages for me and then install them with a looping dpkg install and then dpkg configure, then install and then configure over and over again. That cycle keeps going until all the packages are successfully installed or the number of errors stop going down. I'm just going to speed up some of the installation bits from now on. Now that the first stage is done, we can proceed with the second stage of the crossgrade. This will crossgrade all the packages that aren't in the AMD64 architecture. However, as you can see, some packages aren't available in the AMD64 architecture, such as the i386 kernel, so we'll have to pass in the force flag. The force flag tells the crossgrader that, yes, basically I want to continue with the crossgrade even though some of my packages can't be crossgraded. Again, I've sped this process up. It takes about 8 minutes of real time to install all the packages. And now that the second stage is finished and all the errors are gone from apt, we can run the third stage of the crossgrade, which removes all the remaining i386 architecture packages. So now we're done, and there are no more packages left over in the i386 architecture. So I can remove the architecture from DPKG and then restart the system to use the new AMD64 packages. Looks like GNOME has started up perfectly, and I'll show you guys that I am running in the AMD64 architecture. I'll also start up LibreOffice to show you guys all the packages are working just as well as they did before. And that's a successful crossgrade that took just under 20 minutes. From when I'm recording this until the end of the program, I'll be working on more documentation for the crossgrading tool. Along with that, I'll probably be testing more crossgrades between different architectures and also more complex installations to iron out any possible problems. For me, working with Debian has been a wonderful first experience with open source. Everything has been pretty new to me, having just finished my first year in college, but I'm excited to have this opportunity to contribute to Debian and also gain so much in the process. I've learned a lot about how Debian developers and really how Debian as a whole works. Seeing people interested in my project on IRC and caring enough to actually ask me questions about it and give me advice has been very heartwarming. Huge thanks to Steve and Phil for mentoring me throughout this process and helping me with any problems I have. It's been a great journey so far, and I hope to keep the ball rolling for the final few weeks. Have a great rest of DebConf.
Hello, I hope you're doing fine and are good amidst this COVID fiasco. So I'll just quickly get on to explaining what I'm up to this GSOC. So my project is called Upstream Downstream Cooperation in Ruby. And before I get there, I'd like to introduce myself. And I'm not going to use a cliche title like who am I, right? So I'm Utkarsh, a 20-year undergraduate student. I'm a Debian developer since December last year. So I started contributing to Debian in January 2019, and it's been 20 months so far, and it's totally an amazing journey. Besides Debian, I contribute to a bunch of other open source projects as well. Also did my GSOC last year with Debian itself, so this is my second time doing it with Debian again. I also write CV patches for Debian LTS and ELTS projects, and I go by the handle Utkarsh2102 across the web. So let me tell you about the project, what is it, and what are we doing, and why are we doing that? So I'm a member of the Debian Ruby team, and we maintain around 1,600 packages in the Debian archive. And during its maintenance, we found several issues in the upstream code bases that makes it very difficult for us to build a Debian package out of those gems directly. So essentially, the main goal of this project is to write some kind of tool that could automatically detect such issues in the upstream code base and report them to the upstream maintainers in the hope that they'll be kind enough to fix them and make the lives of downstream maintainers very easy. So another important aspect of this project is the mentors. So say hi to David and Antonio. David is an upstream maintainer of the Ruby toolchain. He maintains Ruby gems, bundler, and he has authored a bunch of amazing gems. So in case you've got problems in the Ruby development, he's the guy that you want to contact. So, moving on, in case you've been around the Debian community, you would definitely know who Antonio Tercero is. He needs no introduction. He does a bunch of amazing stuff in Debian or otherwise. He maintains DebCI or PKG tests. He's also a DebConf committee member, and he maintains the Ruby interpreter in Debian. And besides that, he's also kind enough to devote his time for mentoring other people. And fortunately, one of them is me. So for the record, let me state that I'm not just talking such nice stuff about them because my third evaluation is left. Okay, I genuinely adore them. They're like very nice and sweet and kind people, and it's really an honor to be mentored by two of them. So, yeah. So let me tell you about the solution. So I explained a couple of slides back what the problem we are facing, and so let me tell you about what are we doing for that problem. So the best solution here is to write a linter in the Ruby language. Why linter? Because essentially we just want to flag those lines of code which are problematic for us. So, and what's the best tool for the job other than a linter, right? So to write a linter, the first thing we need is to create an AST. So in the picture shown below, I've demonstrated a simple AST. I've taken an expression that is sum equals to 1 plus 2, and I've shown you how the AST in Ruby looks like. So of course, as the complexity of code increases, the complexity of AST increases. It's 2. So thankfully, there exists such thing called Rubocop. It's a linter and it's being widely used in the Ruby community. So since it's doing exactly the stuff that we want to do, so we've decided that we'll write an extension to Rubocop instead. Because we don't really want to reinvent the wheel, right? We just so instead we are using the infrastructure provided by Rubocop, and we're just extending a few classes, writing our own node patterns, and so it's essentially an extension to Rubocop. So I'll just get down to the implementation part, but I'm just going to go over it very quickly because we have got lack of time. So we've got different kinds of problem, right? So we talk about one of the problems here is that people use Git in their GemSec files, but when we build a Debian package in a clean environment, we don't really have Git, so the build fails, right? So we don't really want people to use Git in their GemSec files, but use a plain Ruby alternative like dir or dir.glob or rake file list, whatever they're comfortable with. So the first step that we do is essentially write a node pattern for the problematic lines of code. And the step 2 comes is that we investigated the source. So we create the AST of the entire source code, and we match that against the node pattern that we've created. In case such a match exists, we report those lines with the message that we want to print. So that's the step 2. And step 3 is to write tests. Well, it's optional for me because I'm a great Ruby developer, right? I write really bug-free code, so I don't need tests. I'm just kidding. I honestly wrote a lot of tests. Trust me a lot. At least I've done a lot of testing because I know at some point of time I'm going to mess up definitely somewhere because I kind of always do. So I'm talking about which, last year in August, September, I kind of broke Salsa, the entire Salsa, right? So I injected 1500 CI pipelines because I was trying to enable the CI pipelines, the entire Ruby packages. So I injected those pipelines, and as a result, the entire Salsa broke because of it was an accidental DDoS. So well, it was out there, it was in the mailing list, so every other person knows that there's some person who broke Salsa. Well, sorry, I'm that person. I'm really sorry. Anyway, so coming back, I wrote a lot of tests. And once we integrate all these 3 steps together, we've got our basic skeleton ready, right? So essentially, we run the Rubocop binary, passing the name of the extension as the parameter for the ---- only flag. So if you see the image that I've shared here, you'll see that it correctly determines the Git calls, and it beautifully highlights it, and it prints the message that please avoid using Git to produce a list of files, because we essentially don't want to don't want to add a dependency on Git, right? Because we the environment that we build in the package, it does not have Git on purpose. So we request them to use a plain Ruby alternative like dir or dir.glob. So I'll tell you about the work that I've done so far. At the time of recording, I've written daily logs that are 65 in number. So 65 days have gone by, and I've written a detailed log of each day, which is live at GSOC with utkarsh2.tk. In case you're interested to see what I've done each day, please go there and have a look at it. So in case you're a busy person, we've got. I mean, I've done you a favor as well. I've written 5 descriptive blogs, which are available at utkarsh2.com, which describes what I've done at each milestone and what's next and what are the obstacles, etc., etc. So at the moment, the 2 cops have been written and have been released. So there have been 3 releases. The latest version is 0.2.0, and after each release, we celebrate, right? So that's me and Tercero celebrating. Yeah. So continuing the work done so far, the 3rd cop is also almost ready. The entire code base is documented, and there have been 2 releases that I've already just told you about, and they're also available on the Debian archive. So you can essentially just install it via sudo apt install Ruby code packaging. And the best part is, it is even though that this whole tool is just 2 months old and it's still in the development phase, it's being used by 16 other libraries and applications, as you can see, and it's been downloaded 20,000 times, right? So that's pretty nice. Although the full disclosure is that people have integrated this tool in their CI. So each time they push a commit, the CI job is spawned. So it downloads Ruby packaging. So that's actually why the numbers are too high at this point. But it's good, right? CI did a good job for me at least. Anyway, so besides that, packaging style guide is also on its way, and there's more to come. So besides GSOC, with my DD hat on, I work on a lot more other things, right? So some of them are that I maintain packages for the Ruby, Go, Perl, Python, and JS team. I'm also an FTP trainee, so I review the Everlong new queue. In case you are into packaging, you will know what a new queue is, and you will also understand the significance of Everlong, right? So I'm also a main list moderator. I moderate Debian project list. Besides that, I'm a part of the bursary and content team for DebConf. I help the security team write some security patches for stable releases with my LTS and ELTS project member hat on. All right, I do security uploads for Stretch, that is old stable, and Jesse, that is old stable. Besides that, I also help in organizing mini DebCons, and I'm also the orga for DebCon 23, which is going to be held in India. And I really hope for all of you to be there. It's going to be amazing. I hope so. And finally, I mentor a lot of newcomers. Well, mentor is a big word. I kind of help the newcomers to get on board with the Debian project, and I sponsor a bunch of their uploads. And in case you are DM or DD, let me remind you to not drink and deput, right? Be responsible, don't drink and deput. So well, that's it from my end. I'm very thankful for you to have been listening this talk for this while. In case you've got a question or want to get in contact with me, here's my email. That is utkarsh@debian.org. Feel free to reach out. Otherwise, since I've already mentioned that I go by the handle utkarsh210 across the web, feel free to drop me a text on Twitter or whatever. I just go by the same handle everywhere. Thank you so much. Once again, stay safe, keep wearing a mask, and keep washing your hands. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hi everyone, I'm Nilesh Patra. My GSOC project is quality assurance and packaging of COVID-19 relevant applications. My mentors are Andreas, Michael, and Lyubov. A bit about me: I'm a third year undergraduate student. I'm a Debian contributor since past 14 months. I very recently became a Debian maintainer as of June 24th, and I'm doing GSOC 20 with Debian. About the project, the Debian Med team currently has 1000 plus medical softwares in main, contrib, and non-free sections. This count is further increasing with new incoming packages and adoptions from orphan packages from other teams like the NeuroDebian team. We are in the process of adopting a lot of NeuroDebian team packages which have RC bugs. There is also quite a number of not yet packaged or recently developed FOSS to combat COVID-19. Many of these softwares can be seen as potential softwares turning Debian into a workbench for researchers, scientists, medical staff, bioinformaticians, etc. to fight the COVID-19 pandemic. Through this project, I'm basically packaging new software, adding auto package tests, and helping fixing test failures, build failures, etc. Work done so far: basically I'm doing these four kinds of tasks on my team packages: adding auto package tests, that is the CI tests that are being run after the package is installed, quality assurance, basically ensuring that the package is in good shape and is usable, bug fixes. I've done a lot of RC bug fixes in this period, and of course packaging new software for fighting the COVID-19 pandemic. I worked on over 95 packages in the GSOC period till now. This is some statistics from my QA page: main and sponsored 41 plus 88. About the challenges, well, one of the most challenging part was to find the right data and writing a sensible auto package test which gives a correct output. A lot of upstreams might not have the best documentation, or they might not exactly point to which kind of data is needed to run the test. So finding the right kind of data and getting the right output is was one of the challenges. uh, and of course we at Debian at times do a lot of patches for the package to fit into the system, or maybe there's future feature additions, or there are bug fixes, etc. A lot of them can be included in the upstream repos, so collaborating this was one of the challenges. And working on packaging a dependency chain. So for a few packages like SIGKit or VCFNO that I worked on, they had a huge chain of unpackaged dependencies, and these chain of unpackaged dependencies had further another chain of unpackaged dependencies. So so packaging all of them and fitting in all the pieces together to make the target package work, that was but challenging for the GSOC period as well. Learning experience, uh, it was a steep learning curve for me. I learned a lot in terms of bug fixes, fixing build failures, test failures, making sure that the package is in good shape. I also fixed a bit of seg faults and other stuff. And of course teamwork and patience is one of the key learnings I had. uh, and collaborating with the community was altogether a great experience for me. Thank you. That's all from my side.
Hi everyone, I'm Pranav Balani and I'm going to present my Google Summer of Code project with Debian Med. So my project was about quality assurance and continuous integration for applications in life sciences and medicine. And my mentors are Andreas, Michael, and Lyubov. So a little bit about me. I'm Pranav, a second year undergraduate student at BITS Pilani University, India, and I'm pursuing a bachelor's in computer science and a master's in biology, which is why I wanted to take up a project that would allow me to explore both areas. So I started working with Debian in February 2020 in Debian Med itself. So the formal title of my project is Quality Assurance and Continuous Integration for Applications in Life Sciences and Medicine. So Debian Med, as Nilesh said earlier, integrates free and open source software for medical imaging, bioinformatics, clinical infrastructure, and the like within the Debian operating system. These packages require auto-package tests to make sure that they give reproducible results on every installation. So writing these tests requires knowledge not only about the packaging workflow, but also about the tasks the package is trying to accomplish, which was perfect for me. So far I've worked on auto-package tests as part of quality assurance. I fixed some bugs that we realized were present during the testing process itself, reiterating the importance of these tests. And I've also packaged some software during the first COVID-19 sprint, but that was limited to 2 or 3 instances. So since joining Debian in February this year, I've worked on about 55 packages. So the first challenge here was understanding the packaging workflow itself, being quite new to open source software. But what was more challenging was finding documentation and examples for packages. So authors don't always have the best documentation, so sometimes just understanding the problem that a package is trying to solve itself is a challenge. Next, in order to write auto-package tests, I had to understand the most common use cases for a package, since that is the bare minimum of what auto-package tests should ensure. And the tests had to be sensible and reproducible, so the output could be compared with a reference to make sure that the package was in fact working correctly. So far it has been a great experience. The learning curve was quite steep at the start since I had never used Linux commands beyond apt-get install before. Coming from there to being able to contribute to software that other people are using feels quite amazing. It was an excellent project to get familiar with software at scale and with various areas of biology as well. Since each package tries to do something different, I was constantly being challenged. Debian is a great place to be, and Debian Med even more so. The team has always been helpful, especially my mentors. They were always approachable, just a text away. So overall, it has been a great starting point for open source contribution, and I look forward to contributing in future as well. So with that, I would like to thank Debian for this opportunity and my mentors for an amazing experience. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my GSOC project is Android SDK tools in Debian. In the presentation, I'm going to talk about Android tools and more precisely about Kotlin. My mentors are Hans, Andre, Chirayu. So who am I? I'm a 20-year-old computer science undergraduate. I am contributing to Debian community for 14 months. I am currently involved as a student developer with Google Summer of Code 2020. And if you talk about apart from the tech stuff, I'm a nerdy novel lover. So what's the project all about? Android SDK tool intend to have the entire SDK tool chain kit in Debian so that it can be easily available with just an install command. It provides the developer with the functionality to build an app with efficiency and ease. The Debian Android Tools team is almost maintaining 40 packages now and is working towards the goal of having the entire Android tool chain in SDK in Debian. The project is not only with Debian Android tools, but Debian Java team is also involved with it. There are many packages like Gradle, IntelliJ, and now Kotlin, which are codependent with both of the teams. As we talked about, that the main objective is to bring the entire tool chain. A question arises in a mind that isn't it a vast project? I should say, yes, it is. There are 3 students who are working currently on the same project but on very different and isolated issues. I myself took Kotlin and work on it. Safe goes by N36 on IRC, worked on Kotlin last year, and I carried forward the work this year. Why Kotlin? Kotlin is one of the root blockers for every package we have in Android tool and for the Gradle package itself. Therefore, it was a prime concern to get Kotlin packaged so that we can quite have a taste for the latest upstream versions and can do the work with more ease and efficiency. Why Kotlin? What's make Kotlin so special? Kotlin is a statically standardized language developed by JetBrains. Kotlin has become a choice for most of the Android applications, such as Android Studio. But the fact was we lacked Kotlin in Debian, and hence all the features by the Android Studio and many other packages were lagged. We intended to package Kotlin with version 1.3.30. The documentation for Kotlin can be found Debian wiki/Kotlin, and the update can be found at Java pages Debian, under the title Debian GSOC Kotlin project. On getting started and dealing with upstream, there were many questions that were asked by different people on the upstream channel that why you're packaging Kotlin 1.3.30, why are you not using the latest Gradle, why are you not using the latest Kotlin source if you're building it. Here is one of the instances I would like to share. Andre is one of the, I have found him on the Steam Gradle channel. Here, where he pointed out what is the goal of building some custom build of Kotlin of old version to OS distribution. That's where I explained him that Gradle and Kotlin share a pretty intense relationship. The latest Gradle is heavily dependent upon Kotlin, and hence we need Kotlin binaries to get it updated. Also, the latest Kotlin needs latest Gradle itself, so they're circularly dependent on each other, and hence, Kotlin version 1.3.30 was the most feasible version according to the Gradle we have in Debian 4.4.1. So coming to the Kotlin structure, before packaging Kotlin, we need to have an upload plan. How we are going to upload Kotlin. Initially, in the community bonding in the community bonding period and in the proposal, I suggested that we should have all the build dependencies like JLine Free, Pico Container, IntelliJ, and many other, along with the Kotlin Bootstrap binaries, which are in turn used to build Kotlin, and then we can upload it in a row. But given that we can't upload Kotlin Bootstrap package to Debian archives. Kotlin Bootstrap contains pre-built binaries which are not suitable which doesn't make it suitable to upload. That's why we had a meeting with my mentors and Eborg helped me with an upload plan. He suggested that the main objective should be to build Kotlin from itself. What were the major Kotlin blockers I faced? Obviously, circular dependencies, as I pointed out with the Gradle and Kotlin, it's one of many. Kotlin itself is full of circular dependencies. Compiler embeddable is dependent upon Gradle plugin, and which in return is codependent again. There were version conflicts and compatibility issues. Though 1.30 was an optimal solution to package, but was not the perfect one, because 1.3.30 supports 4.6 Gradle, which had various unresolved differences, errors, and many others. Therefore, what's the workaround to it? That we backported some of the changes from 4.6 to 4.4.1. So moving forward, what's the progress so far? Most of the core work like Kotlin compiler is done. Compiler works fine for the basic functionality. You can see here the snapshot. Kotlin C works fine for basic sum and print works fine. At the moment, I'm working on Kotlin plugins such as Kotlin Vision plugin, which is primarily required for Kotlin to build from itself. Once done, I think we can upload Kotlin to the Debian archives, and then finally one of the root blockers might be resolved. A slide dedicated to mentors. I got the best people I can ask for. Chirayu, Seamlink, Andrew SH, Hans are the best mentors which kept me going and helped me throughout. On the count of mentors, Seth, who helped package Kotlin last year, also did a pretty helpful job this year as well. Ebor helped with regressions and upload plan. And if you can see on the snapshot, there's me on the bottom. How to find us? There are IRC channels, there are wiki pages, there are mailing lists. You're welcome to join by any means. On IRC, there is hashtag Debian Android Tools. Documentation can be found at wiki pages /Kotlin and /Android Tools. Mailing list is Android Tools Devil @aliot-list.debian.net. Where to find me? Here's my Twitter handle, samyak__jn. My GitHub account, Salsa Nick goes by samyak-jn, and my email ID is samyak.jn11@gmail.com. Please feel free to ping me on the channel. I hang around channels most of the time. Last but not the least, I would like to thank you to the whole Debian community for welcoming me as a family member. I would like to thank all the mentors who helped me keep going, kept me pushing to achieve the goals. I would especially like to thank Chirayu to initially get me started with the project. And as Chandler would have said, could I be more thankful? I would like to see you all next year, and I hope the pandemic get over, and I would really like to meet everyone in person. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the amazing talks, folks. So we have a few questions on the Etherpad. So we had multiple speakers and we had separate categories for different questions. So I'll just read the question for Kevin, as Kevin is not here for answering that, and he will do the answering a little bit later. So the questions for Kevin was, did you try this on a bare metal machine? Impressive stuff and congratulations. And we made a cross grader for a long time. Nice to see you. Helpful for the ARM HF to ARM HF 64-bit MET transition too. So it was the first question. And Wookie on the IRC says, how often does it fall over on the real system? Example, due to bin menu skew. So Kevin will follow up with these questions. So the next question was for Utkarsh for the Ruby team. John says, last year I saw your talk, you were a DM, and this year you are a DD. Nice work. So good work. And his question is, you mentioned that at the time of the talk you had done so and so work. What is the status of the work now? So I think he is referring to your previous and this work.
Yeah. Hi, John. It was nice to see you at Fosden, and thank you. I'm a DD now. So about the status of the work. The talk was recorded 2 weeks prior to what date is today, and back then we had only 2 cops, and only around 18 people were using it. We did not have a lot of good documentation, but however now we've done a lot of bug fixes. I mean, not a lot, but I just fixed a false positive and a false negative. I made a 0.3.0 release. I've also added 2 more cops, making it to a total of 4. And I'll be releasing 0.4.0 probably today after this talk or sometime tomorrow. And besides that, we've done a great work in the documentation department. Well, the best part is that, the documentation is merged upstream. So when I say that, I mean, it's with the upstream Robocop. So, and it's also hosted on their domain. So it's like you can go on to packaging.rubystyle.guide to see this style guide of what I've worked on. And in case you want to see the documentation, you can go to docs.robocop.org/Robocop packaging. So it is properly documented now. I think I'll still need to trigger a build for the docs because it's not getting synced for some reason. I'll try to figure it out tomorrow or sometime later. And yeah, I mean, I think that's all we did in the last 2 weeks.
So that's cool. So that answers aptly. So let's move on to the next questionnaire for Nilesh. Andrea says, patience is a great lesson you can learn in Debian. True. Thanks, Nilesh, for your great work. So that's for Nilesh. Next for Pranav Balni. Again, Andrea says, thanks to Nilesh and Pranav who did a great work. It was fun to work together with you both and fighting COVID-19 with your help. We all need that. Thanks, Pranav, for that. And Pranav has also already answered that. And next we have Samyak for the Android SDK tool. And it says, congrats, working on the bootstrapping a language is a pretty advanced stuff. I must agree. That's a very advanced thing. And Samyak says, thank you. So I don't see any more question on the IRC and the Etherpad. Anything you want to add, folks, before we end this talk?
Yeah, I just want to take a moment to thank all the mentors and amazing students that we had this year. Like we had more students than we just have 5 speakers here, but we have many more projects, and I would encourage everyone to check out our wiki. And also from the Debian outreach team, we are planning to participate in next outreachy rounds and upcoming GSOC sessions. So, and we are looking for new mentors. So please do mentor and help newcomers to come to Debian. Thank you.
Oh, that's totally cool. Anything you want to add, Utkarsh?
No, I just want to thank again to Antonio and David for mentoring me in this GSOC project, and thanks of course to Pranav and the whole of the outreach team for doing the amazing work.
Oh, that's totally cool. So we are almost out of time now. I would like to thank Pranav, Kevin, Utkarsh, Nilesh, Pranav again, and Samyak for the talk. And good day. Keep enjoying the DebCon 20. See ya.
Yeah, thanks, Sahil and Robert for handling this thing for us. Thank you.
Thank you.